Hello, everyone. I'm certified natural healthcare practitioner Erin Thole, and I'm happy that we have Colton Thayer with us today again from Wei Lab. Hi, Colton.
Hey Aaron, good morning.
Good
Glad to be here.
morning. So today we are talking about sleep, which I think is, or we think is something that everybody really needs to talk about, needs to kind of brush up on and remember what sleep does for us, because we kind of live in a culture right now where productivity is king. And the more productive or the more stuff you get done throughout the day, even if it's sacrificing, especially I feel like if it's sacrificing your own health and comfort and sleep and all these other things, the more people are like, yeah, you got it. You're strong. You're getting all these things done, kind of thing. And so many people are putting sleep and taking care of themselves, just the foundational things that really build health in so many different areas, putting it on the back burner, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of mentality. But if you want to have longevity of life, health, feel good in your body, and not develop literally like crippling disorders, you need to sleep. So, and you need to have good quality sleep. A lot of people sleep and then they wake up and they don't feel rested at all. So we're going to really dive into sleep today and the ins and outs of different types of disordered sleep patterns and why they exist, and all of that good stuff, and then give you some helpful tools to help you have a good night's sleep as well. So I think this is going to be a good one. So Colton, you had wanted to, let's dive first into that HPA axis and really talk about that right off the bat, because I think that is an area that is a huge struggle for a lot of people and they don't even know it.
Mhm.
And they're taking all these, over the counter things like melatonin and whatnot to try to get themselves to sleep, but it's really not doing the trick all that well. So for a lot of people, hormonal issues and their glandular health is really a key component. So do you want to talk on that a little bit?
Super key. And I picked it, it sounds like a big fancy word, the HPA axis. Makes me sound smart, but really it's a circuit. It's a circuit. And it ties your endocrine system together. And what really gets it activated is stress or something you got to respond to.
Mhm.
And adrenals, they send off your cortisol, right? Your stress hormone, which then hits the hypothalamus and then hits the uh, pituitary gland, and then it just cascades and it cycles and it cycles. And there should be some balance to it. And for most people, there is, but it can get dysregulated. And when that occurs, there's a lot of issues, uh, just like prolonged stress. If you're not dealing with it, you're not sleeping, people have issues, heart issues, they have reduced immune systems, damaged adrenals. It's going to burn out. If that gas tank is constantly running, you're going to hit burnout. You're going to be like, oh, man, can't do it. Can't do it today. Well, you do have to do it. You have a job, right? You got to go to work. What are you going to do? Well, I guess it's time for a double espresso.
Yeah,
Load,
tons of caffeine.
load it up. What does that do here?
It's going to stress out those adrenals more. So it keeps you caught in that cycle. Like if you're a person that needs caffeine to start your day, or you're just not a functioning human being, you have adrenal fatigue. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when I look at people's hormonal panels, we're looking at 5 different touch points throughout the day. So we can see what the adrenals are doing as the day goes on. A lot of people, their cortisol level, what your cortisol should be doing is it should be high in the morning. And then as the day goes on, it slowly and gradually, nicely comes back down to this resting point so you can sleep at night. Because cortisol is like, get up and go, let's move, let's start the day kind of thing. A lot of people are flipped and they're the opposite. So if you're waking up and you're sluggish, your mind is foggy, you're like a zombie finding your way to the kitchen to start that coffee maker or to open the fridge and slam an energy drink or something like that, you more than likely have a flipped cortisol response where in the morning your cortisol is low, and then as the day goes on your cortisol ramps up, and then at night you can't sleep because your cortisol is way up here. So a lot of times people get stuck in that cycle where, you know, that's kind of the beginning of adrenal fatigue, and then eventually your body can't sustain that, and so that cortisol will completely crash and you're just going to be low and flatline across the board, but you're still not going to be able to sleep because your nervous system and your adrenals are so closely intertwined that the nervous system is still going to be revved up at night and just really frazzled, and you're not going to be able to sleep even if you're in like complete adrenal fatigue. So like Colton was talking about, that HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, you know, we really need to nourish that circuit, nourish those adrenals and get those back on point. And then there's some lifestyle things that we're going to talk about as well that will help to, you know, kind of break that pattern so that you can get those adrenals back into health and you can strengthen that circuit, that axis. So when you're not sleeping well at night, let's say you're only getting like 4 hours of good sleep at night. A lot of people think that they can actually function off of that. You know, people go to bed at midnight, 1 o'clock, and then they'll wake up and they'll, you know, at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and they'll be like, yeah, I can do this. I can power through. I can live on 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night. No problem. Sleep is for wusses, you know, kind of thing. But
Right.
what they're actually doing is they're completely destroying their adrenals, completely destroying potentially the thyroid as well, especially if that's a weak genetic component. And then when your body is deprived of sleep, your hormones like ghrelin, which increase your hunger, go up. So you're more susceptible to having that crash and burn in the afternoon where you're like, where's the sugar? Where's the chips? Where's it? You know, like things that are carby, things that are sugary are going to be more of your go-to because that ghrelin response is higher. So you just want to eat, you know, grazing and stuff like that on those high carb, high sugars all the time.
I think a ghrelin is like, it's the gremlin hormone. You stay
Yeah.
up at midnight, you gotta feed the gremlins the next day. You know, it's just like, oh, sandwich, oh, chips, oh, like what else can we get? And you're just grazing. It's
Yeah.
like,
Cookies, candy bar. Yeah. Get a Coke, you know, whatever it is that you think you need, you know? So yeah, I like that analogy. That's fantastic. And then your dopamine and serotonin, those feel-good neurotransmitters, are completely tanking when you're sleep deprived. So you're more likely to have, you know, depression, anxiety, be short-tempered. There's so many studies that go into that. You know, the need for sleep in order to help your mind feel better and to make sure that that nervous system is calmed down and you're not constantly in fight or flight, because your body is still a primitive being. So if you're not sleeping and you're stressing out all day because you're overworked, your body doesn't know if you're running from a bear or if you're just running from the clock, you know, kind of thing. So we have to take into consideration that fight or flight response. And even though you're more than likely not running from a bear, you're still running, your body is running from something, and thinks that you're in danger because otherwise you would be sleeping. If you're not sleeping, well, then there must be a primitive reason why it's not safe to sleep. You know, that's kind of what the body does. Because we are still animals and we are still, you know, a part of nature. And so we can't discredit that. So that's definitely going to play into your mood, and things of that nature. And then you were talking about heart health. So let's talk on that a little bit.
yeah, I mean, what do you think stress does to
Yeah, I mean, it's going to increase the inflammation and stress out your heart, you know, your heart rate. If you're not sleeping, your heart rate is up for longer. than it should be in a 24-hour period. Like it's just, there's a lot of taxing that occurs on the heart.
Yeah, you get that, just that cortisol dump, and you're just like, oh. A lot of people I talk to, and even like myself, like I've had times where I noticed laying in bed and I'm laying there for like a good hour. I'm like, can't shut the brain down, can't shut down the thoughts. Sometimes they're racing, sometimes it's just like, it's just going. I'm just thinking, it's like, no, I gotta sleep. So I used to take like melatonin, used to take things like that, and it kind of helped, but I'd always wake up feeling groggy. And there's so many people that take it, and then after a while, you don't feel groggy in the morning. You just, you're not all there right
Mhm.
away. A lot of people get sucked into that, but when we're talking heart health in Chinese medicine, it's really tied. Sleep is tied to the kidneys and to the heart, right?
Okay.
Uh, what we call is like liver yang rising, kidney heat, creating heart heat is going to create basically overactive heart, and it's going to overstimulate the brain. The heart's going, and then it's pumping blood to the brain. You gotta calm that down at some point. So,
I kind of want to talk about different types of sleep disruption.
yes,
So
okay,
there's
that's
typically two different types of people. There's people, or three different. There's people that can't fall asleep. They toss and turn, and then once they do fall asleep, they're good. They're out. It's great. And then there's people that fall asleep, but then they wake up. So it's constantly like this sleep and wake, back and forth kind of thing. So they're never getting that like full deep REM sleep, that good quality sleep cycle where they're feeling fully rested when they wake up. And then there's people that are both, where it's hard to fall asleep and then it's also hard to stay asleep. So this is kind of just showing different levels of adrenal and neurological dysfunction. Sometimes with women, during menopause and things like that, your sleep is disrupted because of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, like imbalances and things of that nature. That's a symptom that your body is off. Just like in women, when you're a cycling woman, if you're having a lot of cramps and PMS and things of that nature, that's a symptom. That's your body telling you, hey, something's not okay over here. Pay attention to me over here. Your body's not there to punish you. It's not there to, create disruption and upheaval in your life. So if you're someone that is now going through menopause and you're not sleeping as a result, then we need to dive into the why for that. Because that's just not, I don't accept that as just like, oh, this is just how it is right now. Like, no, your body needs to sleep. Let's figure out why it's not sleeping. So sometimes the progesterone is too low, the estrogen to progesterone ratio is off, there's all of those things as well. So that's definitely a component. But, if you're having the sleeping and waking or tossing and turning and not being able to get a sleep, a lot of times that's just kind of like feeding into or telling us like the degree of severity to adrenal fatigue and nervous system stress and overstimulation and things like that. So having those calming nighttime routines where you're turning off the TV, you're not watching Dateline right before you go to bed and being like stressed out about,
down the road.
your neighbor murdering you in the middle of the night or something like that. We don't want to watch these like stressful things. You don't want to be like doing your taxes like right before you go to bed or anything like that. We want to have a period of time where the lighting is lower. Maybe you're journaling, you're meditating, you're doing some breath work, prayer, whatever it is, light stretching, listening to some calming music, things of that nature before you go to bed. And then making sure that we're not having those stimulating blue lights, your cell phone, the computer screen, all of that stuff before we go to bed as well, because that is a neurological stimulator. It wakes up your nervous system. It wakes up the brain. Like there's so many studies that are like, hey, come on, like don't be stimulating your brain right before you go to bed. You're not going to be able to sleep well. So cutting those things out at least 2 hours before you go to bed. If you can't do that for some reason, then get some of those really super fancy blue light blocking glasses on like Amazon or something like that. And that does help.
they're cheap too.
Yeah,
A big proponent, bring back the candles at night, light them up and, light the room, set the mood, do a little grounding, do some breath work, maybe do a little journaling, get ready for the next day, put it on paper and forget about it.
exactly. Exactly. So you want a calming bedtime routine, and then you want to sleep in pitch black darkness. We want blackout curtains. We don't want a lamp on. We don't want the TV on, Colton. We don't want, all these other
In the dark, I'm afraid of the dark, so I do have to have a little bit of a nightlight. Never know what's under the bed. Could be a lot of laundry. I don't know. Could be a lot.
Could be. So yeah, we don't want to have light coming in, because your pineal gland in your brain is governed by light and dark. So that's going to really play into your circadian rhythm. Okay, which is why it's dark at night. That's why we sleep at night. It's light during the day, so that's when we're up around and moving around. And the pineal gland is in tune with that, and how it receives that light or that darkness is through your eyeballs. So we want to make sure that we're having that pitch black darkness, so we're sending that signal to the pineal gland that, hey, it's time to sleep. Some people, their circadian rhythm is just completely jacked up. So things that you can do to help to balance that and get that back on point would be like grounding exercises, so getting a grounding mat that you can have, in your house. A lot of people like to have them under their desk while they're working all day. It's not something that's going to make you sleepy. It's just helping to like connect you to the minerals and the energies and the frequencies of the earth, which helps to get your circadian rhythm in balance. So they make these fancy little mats that are called grounding mats now. So you can have those. There's actually grounding sheets that you can put on your bed that help with grounding and also help to calm down inflammation. There's a ton of research on that and like how that helps people get into that good deep REM sleep and stay there. Helps to calm down inflammation, helps to balance out your heart and your neurological rhythms, lower the stress and inflammatory responses. If you don't want to get any of that stuff, what you can do is go outside barefoot when the sun is setting and watch the sunset, just standing in the grass or the dirt barefoot. And that will help to ground you, connect you to the frequency of the earth, and get that pineal gland back into that circadian rhythm. Do you have something?
Isn't it bad to look at the sun? Isn't it going to make you go blind?
Well, we're not looking at an eclipse, and we're not like staring at the actual, like the sun at noon. You're just watching a sunset is really all you're doing.
I know.
So,
Right?
yeah. I appreciate that though. Yeah.
Yeah. So, really getting the balance. And the other thing is too, if you're getting up on time, watch the sunrise. It's a great
Yeah.
way to start the day. And
Mhm.
that's why I also want to add in, like, some days when the sun's not out, it's like, damn, like, this sucks. Like, it's
Yeah.
cloudy out, it's gloomy out, talk about being under the weather. So,
Mm.
like, I really do want to emphasize just like make the sun part of your day. Rise with it, set with it if you
Mhm.
can.
I
But
I agree for sure. Um, and then how are we going to break that rhythm, that disordered or dysfunctional rhythm within that HPA axis, the adrenals, the nervous system being frazzled and stuff like that. So breath work is a great way to do that. Doing a lot of those calming bedtime routine things that we just talked about, great way to do that. Not packing 10 million things into your day, like making your must-do list and then kind of like your secondary list kind of thing.
mhm,
I think so many of us are so functioned on over productivity that it's actually making us less productive and less
mhm,
happy for sure, and more stressed out. And then there are some different products that I typically recommend that will help people like just really nourish those adrenal glands, nourish the nervous system and things like that. So I'll put the notes, like the link for, full script, and some of those will be listed below this video and things of that nature as well. So I use like some adaptogenic herbs, some adrenal glandulars and things like that. And then I know that you guys have some really great products as well, Colton, for adrenals and for sleep and things like that. So let's talk about those.
For sure. So I guess there's two big ones that I want to talk about. First one, Z capsule. It's like Mr. Sandman. You take two capsules. I would say like after dinner time, kind of helps calm down the heart, helps to just kind of get you balanced out, just so you're like not overstressed. It does have a component where it helps to calm down the liver and calm down the kidneys too, and just kind of get things in good rhythm. So I know a lot of people who take that, and within like maybe 2 hours, they're getting nice and relaxed. Um, Sometimes the people that like what we were talking about earlier, they'll need another dose before bed because if they're waking up in the middle of the night, it'll kind of help them just keep it through the night. So I love the Z capsule for sleep.
Is
Okay.
it
Yeah.
is it like a sedative of some, like, is it going to make people feel sleepy like how CBD or melatonin would? Or it's just kind of like an aid when you get into bed that's going to help just calm everything down?
It it it's not like sedative like melatonin or CBD is, but it will get you nice and relaxed.
Okay.
Um, but like if you took too much of it, it's not going to make you feeling groggy in the wake up.
Okay.
It's a good balance. But I'm glad you brought that up. It's different. Um, but I will tell you this: I took it too early one time, and I was like, I'm too chill for this. Like I can't get anything else done. I'm done
Yeah.
calling it. So make sure you get everything done before you take it, if you can.
Mhm.
So that's the Z. The other one is Vertice. I got people severe ADHD, like can't get out of bed without taking their ADD meds, all that, or coffee or whatever it is. They take the Vertice, they stop taking the ADHD stuff or the coffee, all that. I still suggest, drink your coffee if you want to be functional. Um, a lot of people was better energy, better sleep after taking this for even like 2 weeks. Builds you up. And I do recommend it with just like some sort of desiccated adrenal gland supplement with it, because you got to have the building blocks, but this helps to kind of direct the actions to the adrenals.
Yeah. And yeah, the desiccated adrenal or like adrenal glandular or whatever you want to call it, those really help to just nourish the adrenals, just like taking any kind of glandular, if you take a thyroid glandular or something like that, like it's helping to feed that gland, that system, so it can rebuild itself essentially. So doing herbs with glandulars is always a really good idea. I agree with that for
Great.
sure. Um, some things that I really, really like is like the Revo Green Sleep, like this little guy, just taking 1 to 2 capsules of this before bed. It's kind of like that Z where it's not going to completely knock you out or anything like that. Like I could take this now and I wouldn't,
Mhm.
have a hard day or anything like that. But you take it before bed, you go to bed, it helps you get and stay in that really deep REM sleep. When you start taking it, you might have some really crazy dreams, and that is a good sign that you are getting into that deep REM sleep. If you're not dreaming, you're not getting into that deep REM sleep. So we want to make sure that we're having that happen. And so that's one that I really, really love, because you sleep hard and then you wake up and you're like, whoo, I'm ready to go. I got some good sleep in. Some people do need to take melatonin. It's few and far between, but sometimes it is something that people need, especially people that have certain genetic predispositions to having low melatonin, or if they have like chronic inflammatory response syndrome or something like that, like they typically tend to be lower in melatonin. So like my son takes just a teeny tiny bit of melatonin at night because he does have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and
Yeah.
that helps otherwise he just wouldn't sleep. So he takes the night spray, which is from NBX Wellness. I'll put their information below too. But this is a blend. It's like some calming things. So it's GABA, it's a tiny little splash of melatonin, and then glutathione, which is necessary for like liver detoxification, cellular health, just helping your body to function optimally. From a detoxification and liver health perspective, it's absolutely essential. And so many people are deficient in it. And glutathione, just by helping to support the liver and detoxification, can also help with sleep. Some people don't sleep well because their liver is overstimulated. So that's another, thing that we need to kind of think about as well. Like, is that liver bogged down? Is your body just not detoxing well? Because that phase 2 detoxification of, getting things through the liver and processed in a toxin, kind of in that area of toxicity, getting those things through the liver happens at night. Like that's the prime time for that liver detoxification to happen. And if the liver's bogged down and it cannot detox efficiently, it will stimulate you awake. Especially like if we look at like an organ clock, between those areas, like gallbladder, liver, kind of right around the same time. So between like 11 and 1, if you're just like not sleeping really well, or 1 to 3, that's telling us like either liver, gallbladder, or a combination of the two. So glutathione, super, super important for that. But yeah, just if you're a person that we've tested you and we know that your melatonin is low, you might be a good candidate for like a very low dose. I'm talking like a gram of melatonin.
Not 10 milligrams.
Not 10 milligrams of melatonin. That's a lot of times like people are waking up groggy and they can't get started in the day. And it's like, I took my melatonin and I slept, and now I'm waking up groggy, so I need the caffeine to counteract the melatonin. You're taking way too much melatonin. The other thing is melatonin is one of those, it's a neurotransmitter. So you're literally taking a hormone. If you don't need it, you shouldn't be taking it. So we need to know that you're low on it. And we can find that out through doing the Dutch hormonal panel that I do. So if we know that it's low, then you can, get the green light to go ahead and start taking a tiny little bit of melatonin. If you're taking it and you don't need it, sometimes I'll get people's hormonal back and their melatonin is like in the thousands. It's like way higher than it should be. And it should be, like lower than 80, So if they're taking all that melatonin, their body's going to stop making it because it's like, there's a ton of this. Why would I waste my time making it? So we don't want to shut off a natural physiological function of the body. So if someone's been taking melatonin for a super long time, it's really probably time to start titrating down from that and, getting off of it and reminding your body how to make it on its own, kind of thing. Also, melatonin is one of those things that helps you to get asleep, but it doesn't necessarily keep you asleep, So that's where things like the Z would come in handy from Colton, or the sleep from Revo Green. Or, some people really like CBD. This is a Delta 8 CBD. Not everybody is a good candidate for Delta 8. If you have any kind of paranoia type issues or anything like that, you most definitely should not be taking Delta 8, but just a general full spectrum CBD from Nature Apothecary is the one that I recommend. Would be helpful for some people. Just kind of makes you feel a little floaty and relaxed and helps you get to that deep sleep.
And I think they also have a CBN, which is cannabidiol. That one also helps with sleep too.
Oh, does it?
I think there's some companies that combine the CBD with the CBN.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, that is good. That is good to know for sure. Yeah, I like CBD. I like the Nature CBD because it's the only one that I've found that actually does anything. Like I've tried so many different ones just because it's something that people are interested in. And, there is a lot of research that shows how helpful it is. And the Nature one is really, and I've had Jordan Park, the owner of Nature Apothecary on before and talk about that. So if anybody wants to go back to that episode and watch him kind of nerd out on CBD, definitely do it, because I'm not the go-to person for knowledge on CBD. Like I know things about it, but I'm not like nerding out on it or anything like that. So I just know that this stuff works, and I started giving it to my dog, and he has had like night and day, attitude adjustment. So so that's why I'm like a big proponent of it. So it is really helpful for a lot of people, for sure. So what else do you want to talk about? Anything else that we want to talk about today? We talked about our calming bedtime routine, our adrenal support products, grounding, hormones, all that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
just
we
get
covered it.
life into balance. It's 2024. It's going to be 2025 here soon. So like, get things into balance now. All right, get your routine going. I mean, there's so many things that just a good night of sleep and getting that rhythm is going to do for you. Right? There's a lot of issues if you don't do it. A lot of issues come from that too. So pick one. Which way do you want to go? Where do
Yeah.
you want to be? By the end of the year. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Just getting good sleep. So.
Yeah.
I will end on that. I don't think there's anything else to go over.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to reach out to myself or to Colton, I'll have all that information below this video. And in terms of doing like a hormonal panel and all that good stuff, so we can see what those adrenals are doing, we can see what your melatonin is doing, we can see what those sex hormones are doing, it gives us a really good picture into what's happening within a 24-hour period of time. Just reach out to me and we can get that test ordered and get that done. So you can go to my website at erinthole.com, request a free consultation there, or you can just shoot me an email at thole.erin@gmail.com. We can get that consultation scheduled. You can give Colton a call at 612-808-3590.
9235. Oh
Oh,
man,
I had it switched around. I was like, it's either 35 or 92. Which one comes first?
9235. I mix it up too, but
35. I'll have it below just in case we're confusing everyone now. So, all right. If you have any ideas for topics that you would like us to cover, please feel free to comment below, shoot me a message, whatever floats your boat. We're totally open to ideas. Thank you, Colton. I'll talk to you soon.
sounds good, Erin. Talk to you soon.
Bye.